Hi everyone, this is Fazana for Fazana Slow, and in today's video I'll be sharing something very exciting, and that is how I passed my driving test and what to exactly do the day before and during the test day to make sure that you're maximizing your chances of getting that pass certificate. So if you're interested, then please keep watching. And before we start, I would just like to say that subscribe to this channel if you're interested in kind of law school, productivity, self-growth kind of videos, because I post on a weekly basis every Wednesday at 3 p.m. in the UK time. So if you want to be the one tuning in first, then please click the link, click the bell below so you'll get updated and be notified of that. But other than that, let's get started. So you might be asking right now, why did I actually want to learn driving in general as a skill? So the first reason is, of course, because I feel like it is a life skill that everybody should learn how to do, and at the same time it is something that can be very useful in emergency situations as well. For example, God forbid, if something happens in the family or somebody needs to go somewhere, then you can be the helping hand and drive them off in that situation and salvage those kind of situations, of course. And my test was on the 13th October 2020 at 9 a.m. at Good Maze or Barking, I don't know which place it was, but yeah, that was basically it. And also I had 3 lessons before the actual test day of 2 hours each, and I think that in order to pass a driving test, it's very, very important to have a good driving instructor who helps you, who motivates you and strives you to actually pass the test, rather than taking money off you and fee from you and trying to basically feed their own, basically, earn their own money and stuff. But obviously my driving instructor was really, really good, and he was very motivating. He was very patient. He always drove me, and he always drove that motivation in me to pass as quickly as possible so that I could get out of it and get rid of this thing. But yeah, it was very, very important. And if you want to know some good channel recommendations, YouTube channel recommendations, and I'll link them in the description box below. But other than that, these were some of the general information that I want to get it out of the way before the video begins. First thing I would definitely say is to take a lesson the day before the test and see what mistakes you keep doing all the time. And what I would recommend is to watch videos on those particular topics or areas that are very weak at driving. For example, for me it was meeting traffic. So what I did is that I watched some YouTube videos online, and I made notes literally like this, if you can see, but I made notes like this to make sure that I was basically seeing where I was making the mistake and stuff. So from a meeting traffic, I would be misjudging all the time whether I should let the other person go or should I be going into the narrow road and stuff. That would be very confusing for me. But I would definitely leave some good videos on meeting traffic and all the topics in the description box. But yeah, that was one of the challenges for me. So definitely take a lesson, see what mistakes you're doing, and watch some YouTube videos on those and make notes like this, and that will be very helpful, I promise. The second thing that I would definitely say to anyone taking the test the day before, what you should do is to definitely, without a doubt, learn all of your maneuvers and all the step by step for each of those maneuvers. So if you're living in the UK, then you know that the maneuvers are forward bay parking, parallel parking, reverse bay parking, and pull up on the right and reverse 2 car lengths. So for me it was the one called pull up on the right and reverse 2 car lengths. I know it's pretty easy, but yeah, I was lucky that day. But what I did is basically watch some YouTube videos and I made some diagrams like this. So you can see this is the one of pull up on the right and reverse 2 car lengths. This one is reverse parallel parking. That was really, really important, but that was the most difficult one, I would say. But for some reason I was making a lot of mistakes the day before on forward bay parking, which is right here, and reverse bay parking, which is right here. So I think it really, really helps if you make diagrams like this and memorize and tell yourself and teach yourself which maneuver is what, because you don't want to be failing that test. You don't want to be failing that test just because of a maneuver or a parking. So yeah, so my next tip is to make sure that you're taking lessons before the test. Now I already mentioned beforehand in the introduction that I have taken 3 lessons of 2 hours each. So I've taken 1 week before, 2 or 3 days before, and then the day before. So 3 lessons, and each of those were 2 hours. But let me tell you that there is a policy, not policy, but this is something that everybody does, and that is to basically take a lesson also before the actual test day. But I did not wanted to do that personally, because I get personally very tired and time consuming. Not time consuming, but I get very tired easily. So I didn't really want to do a test or driving lesson before the actual test day. So if you're somebody who gets really tired very easily like myself, then I would highly encourage for you to tell your driving instructor beforehand that you don't want to do this. And he was very supportive. My driving instructor was pretty supportive about this, but I anyway ended up driving like 20 minutes anyway from the station to the driving test center, but that was okay, that was fine. It was not a full 1 hour. So I would highly encourage for you to tell your driving instructor if you want to take a lesson beforehand or not. My tip number 4 on what to do before the test day, I would definitely recommend that you're not stressing over the show me tell me questions way too much to the extent that you're overthinking about them, because there's no really point overthinking about them. Because if you remember, tell me question I think is 1 mark or 1 fold if you don't know how to do it, and show me also is also 1 fold as well. But I would highly recommend you watching a video. Maybe I'll link in the description box below the one that I have watched and basically try to memorize as much as possible. But I feel like students or basically learners should not be really stressing over the show me tell me questions, because that's not the main point on, that's not the main thing that they're assessing you on. The main assessment is your practical driving and how well you can drive independently and with the sat nav as well. So I would highly encourage for you to be relaxed over these questions and not really overthink about them. Like if you forget about it in the test day, it doesn't really matter as long as you're safe on the road. So yeah, that will be my 4th tip. So my last tip on what to do the day before the test will be something optional, but that is to basically meditate and relax yourself as much as possible, and tell maybe 1 person in your family only that you have a test the next day. Because I feel like if you tell somebody or someone, at least for example I told my mother, and she actually like prayed for me and made, or give me the blessings before going for the test and all those kind of things. So I think that those kind of positivity vibes is very important the day before and the actual test as well, the hour before the test as well. So I think that if you tell somebody who you trust unconditionally and you know that they're gonna give you blessings and they're gonna give you positivity vibes and stuff, then please go ahead and tell them. Alternatively, the other thing for you to do is give charity. I think this is something my driving instructor told me to do, and that is to basically give charity, maybe £1 or £2, £5 here and there to our charity organization that you actually love and trust. So I would definitely say do this, because that will bring positivity within you, and it will just bring that positive energy within yourself, and you want to be as relaxed as possible the day before the test. So I would highly recommend this, but if you don't want to do this, that's still okay. Now I'm going to be moving on what to do during the actual test day, or just like 30 minutes before the actual test. So my first tip will be to definitely eat something very energetic, something which is high sugar level, and something which is going to give you that energy vibes, and it's going to make you concentrate better as quickly as possible. So for example, for me, 30 minutes before the actual test, I basically at the back of the car, I just ate some dates. I ate 7 dates, and that was really good. It gave me that boost of energy. It awoke me so quickly, especially the fact that my test was at 9 a.m, which was very early, and I woken up at 5 a.m. or something. So it was very important for me to eat something very energizing and something that is going to keep me satiated and full for the longest time throughout the whole test. So I would highly recommend for you to eat something which is energetic, quick, simple, and something that is even portable, and you can even eat 30 minutes before the actual test. Why not? Now I'm going to be moving on to what to actually do during the actual test and when you're actually sitting down and driving the car. So the first thing that I would definitely say to yourself is to talk to yourself if that helps. For example, for me, when I was driving the car and I know there was awkward silence between me and the examiner, and I was thinking that I don't want to fall asleep, neither do I want to daydream. So the best thing that I could do at that moment was to basically talk to myself and see what's going on the road, and tell myself that, oh, there is a red traffic light, then I'm gonna have to stop in a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna have to clutch down, first gear, and then all those kind of steps basically. And in that way it made me awake, but at the same time it did not make me daydream while I'm driving, because that is a very big issue that I have. Sometimes when I'm driving too well, I can end up daydreaming, and that is a very big problem. So yeah, so basically that would be a very good tip, especially, and take your time with your driving. Do not rush anything. For example, for my parking, when I was doing my pull up on the right and reverse 2 car lengths, I was taking my time and like 5 minutes. I think it took me like 5, 6, 7 minutes or something to complete it, because I wanted to make sure it was as perfect as possible. So yeah, take your time time and talk to yourself. Third tip is very similar to the one that I just spoke about, but that is to basically make sure that you read the road in front of you as a book, literally word by word, letter by letter, what's going on in the road, because you have to be careful that there's no cyclists, if there are any children, how you should be reacting, if there's any other vehicles, other cars, vans, and everything in between. You have to know what's going on in the road, then you can take action and drive safely, because the whole point of you actually doing this test for 40-45 minutes or 38 minutes is to make sure that you can drive safely and you can take action straight away if there's any problem, and you can do this by yourself without needing a driving instructor or anything, or anybody else. So definitely make sure that you're reading the road as much as possible and seeing what's going on in the road. If there's an emergency sign, what you should do. If there is a car coming towards you suddenly, what you should do. Everything in between is very, very important. And also, as I said, do not daydream, because that's going to kill your concentration and that's going to ruin the whole flow. This fourth tip is absolutely important, and that is to basically have the mindset that you have not failed until you have stopped that car in the parking zone in your driving test center. Do not think that you have failed until you've actually stopped driving the car and you finished your test, because what happens is that sometimes when we make a mistake, we think that, oh, that's it, I failed. But that is a bad mindset and bad motivation to have within you, especially when you're still doing the test. And that is something that can be very problematic in that way, because that will divert your concentration away from the road, and then you're gonna end up making more mistakes, and God knows if one of those faults actually end up becoming serious faults, and then that's it, that's your test done. And I was under pressure for that reason, because especially because I heard that during the COVID-19 period, what they do is that if you make a serious fault, that's it, your test is done, you have to drive back. But I was thinking in my head, okay, 30 minutes have gone by, 35 minutes have gone by, 40 minutes have gone by, does that mean I'm passing? I don't know. But that was you don't want to be in that zone, in that mode, like, oh, have I passed or have I not passed and everything. But I would highly recommend for you to make sure that you're driving your absolute best, especially in your first 5 minutes and your last 5 minutes, because that's when people basically tend to make the most mistakes. So concentrate really, really well in the first and the last 5 minutes. And the last tip that I will share with you all is to make sure that you have really good control of the car when the examiner asks you your show me question, because they're going to ask a show me question, especially when they know that you might mess it up and you might not have good control of the car. So for example, I think I was asked how to open the rear window or something, I'm not even sure, or to clean up the rear window, but I just didn't care, and I just pressed anything and then just left it as it was, because I was thinking that I cannot be overthinking about a show me question when I have a whole road ahead of me to think about and really control the car as safely as possible. Because I was telling her like, can I stop the car and then show you the show me question, but then she was like, no, it has to be while the car is moving, and that is a big challenge, especially if you are concentrating on the road. You don't want to be overthinking about that thing. So even if you get it wrong, like I did, for example, it's okay, it's absolutely fine, because at the end of the day you can still pass even if you have an incorrect answer for a tell me question and a show me question. So do not overthink about those kind of questions at all. Just before I finish up this part of the video, I would just like to say 2 bonus tips. And the first one is to have good positive affirmations just before you leave the house, and I will talk about this more in my IGTV. If you follow me on Instagram at Fazana T Mohammed, currently that's my username right now. And second thing is to make sure that you are exaggerating your vision and observations and your mirror checks as much as possible, because in that way it will show that you're being extra careful and you're somebody who knows what you're doing when you're driving, and it will also give the examiner the incentive that you're a safe driver. So definitely exaggerate your mirror checks and your observations as much as possible, especially when they tell you to stop in the left hand side somewhere safe and then you have to move off again. And make sure you check your blind spots as much as possible, especially on the right hand side, because that can be neglected very easily. So those would be my bonus 2 tips. Now, after you've done your driving test, 2 outcomes are possible. One, that you passed, which means congratulations if you have, and if you have passed somewhere this week or last week, or when did you pass, comment down below. I would love to reply to that and check it out. And if you failed, unfortunately, then the next thing you can do is, of course, to book your test as quickly as possible the next time and get it over with, because you don't want to be doing this for 2-3 years and dragging it, especially if you're at university. Of course your degree is very, very important, but if you're somebody who knows how to drive very well, knows the rules very well, but because of some unfortunate reason, or some unfortunate serious fault, you just ended up failing, there's no point really dragging this for the next one or few months or whatever. So I would definitely recommend for you to book your test as quickly as possible, and do not be disheartened because everyone fails, everyone has bad days, but I promise to you, driving test is a test which is guaranteed that you're going to pass sooner or later. So please go ahead and book the test if you failed. Before you leave, and this is the end of the video, but before you leave, if you want to check out my free PDF with all the non-academic habits that got me that first class degree in my LLB years that I've been doing in the past 3 years, if you want to have access to that, then please click the link in the description box below, because it is completely free. All you have to do is just click that and you will get it on your email straight away. But at the same time, if you want to be my friend outside YouTube, then follow me on my Instagram at Fazana T Mohammed, which I will be also linked in the description box below, where I post anything like, for example, travel, food, fitness, personal development, self-growth kind of videos, and basically posts, of course, about law as well. And also I post weekly IGTVs where I talk about a certain topic in less than 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. In that way you can be updated on that as well. Especially I'm going to be making videos on positive affirmations, what happened on my driving test day, exactly my funny story. I'll be sharing all of that in my Instagram. But if you're still watching me, then congratulations, it means you're very serious about getting that first class, and I cannot wait to see you shining at the end of this year with that first class, because I know you are worth it, and you will get it if you subscribe to this channel, because I post every week at 3 p.m. on Wednesdays in the UK time. That was all muddled up, but you know what I mean. And I will see you in my next IGTV, not IGTV, but next video.